Hello, everybody. I had a comment on one of my other videos asking me to talk about Femforce issue 180. Um, so this was published back in, let's say, 2017, and it was back when AC was doing books for $9.95, but they were almost 100 pages of book. So if Marvel and DC were doing 22-page books at the time for $4 or $5, this was actually a good deal for the number of pages that you were getting. And the books only came out every 3 months or so. So you really were getting 3 months of books, over 3 months of books every 3 months. So it over the course of a year, you spent less. But it has a bunch of different Femforce stories in it. This first story was scripted by Mark Heike, and Dave Matsuoka did the artwork. And Jeff Austin, who's a fabulous inker, did the inking. Jeff's really good. And just want to show you so you get a feel for Dave Matsuoka's art. So very dynamic. He does a great job with faces. And so that was the end of chapter 1. And then the next story, Javier Lugo was on art. And it's a pretty nice page. And yeah, that's Miss Victory. I like the point of view. They're flying through the night sky. Looks really cool. And then the next story in this book is Dan Gorman is on art, and Jeff Austin again is the inker. And I've met Dan. I met him at a show last fall. Really nice guy, and excellent penciler. Just again to give you a sense of the artwork in his story, and all very nice, all very great good girl art, still dynamic, and looks really good. Then you have a kitten story, and the artist on this is Rock Baker. And Rock Baker, if you wanted to see kind of the kind of stuff he usually does now, Mark Holmes, who is a writer who's done a lot of stories for AC Comics for Femforce, has a YouTube page, and he's actually got Rock Baker has a does kind of animated characters. They've done some short videos with some of Rock Baker's characters, and they're very cute, kind of anthropomorphic artwork. So that's where you can go down below Mark Holmes YouTube. You can see some of Rock Baker's cartoon cuties in little storylines that Mark has written. Mark's written a lot of Femforce stories that are more good girl art stories, or actually they're there's good girl art in them, but they're really fun and entertaining stories that draw on a lot of influences from the 70s, the 80s. So if you pick up a Femforce and you get a Mark Holmes story, it's going to be a fun story. Then that's the kitten, and then we have another Rock Baker story, and that is his character Dinosaur Girl, which she was featured in a lot of the Gargantorama flip books that AC did with Femforce. But again, this is kind of one of those, a cave girl type of feature. And we're about halfway through the book at this point, just a little over half. And we get this story starting over here. Story Blood of Ages by Andrew Haunt. Andrew Haunt also has a YouTube page. It is the link is on screen if you wanted to check out a lot of his stuff. He does some film stuff. He does some music videos, and he's also written several stories for Femforce. They tend to be a little more, what's the word I want? Punk, I guess, or at least hearkening back to that kind of scene. So yeah, and full of action, nice dynamic artwork. The artwork on this is by Emmanuel Piqua. So let me see if I can give you a good sense of. Here's a couple of good pages. So that's that artwork, and then we have Heart of the Sun, which is also written by Andrew Haunt in this issue, and this is a Stardust story. And the art on this is by Scott Shriver, who's gone on to do work for other people as well. And so it's Stardust. It is some really cool stuff. A lot going on, but you can see what all is happening in the story. And then we get Team Paragon, which again is Stardust, featured in the story. Look at this. Look at this panel here. Sorry, let me try to figure out how to show. I like that one. Very cool looking panel. And the art on this, by the way, is Eric Coyle, and it's a Bill Black story. So the art by Eric Coyle, the story by Bill Black. If you want to see some of Bill Black's videos and some of his kind of history of the industry, he's got a YouTube channel. The link is on screen, and you can go to his page and watch some of his videos he's produced and directed. You can see his reminiscences about the industry, the comic book industry, and how things used to be done, and get a real good sense for the retired publisher of AC Comics. But Bill wrote this story, and Eric Coyle drew it. And then so the thing about this story is that this is kind of interesting for historians of comic books. So before Bill started AC Comics, he ran what was called a prozine, which you could buy mail order. They'd have ads in comic books, and they had story and art by some people who later became, big names in the mainstream comic book industry. But these were mail order magazine format books, and he published them under his Paragon Publications was the name of his imprint. And this would have been in the late 60s throughout the 70s. And this final story in this issue goes back to all of his Paragon Publication stories, and it kind of ties up the loose ends of those stories and provides them it meshes them with current Femforce and helps kind of provide an ending for some of the old Paragon stories that hadn't that they were kind of ended midstream, or where things were happening and you didn't know what was going to happen next. And so you have Sin, which was one of Bill's original characters, but you have Scarlet Scorpion. You have Phantom Lady. You have No Nose Nanette. She is not there. There. That's No Nose Nanette there. You have Captain Paragon. You have Gorgana's in this. You have a young Bill Black seeing all this stuff going on in front of him and being inspired to write comic book stories. You have Eric Coyle doing some really nice kind of trippy psychedelic stuff here. And it says the last thing it says here down at the bottom of the down here at the bottom of this page. It says, "At long last, Paragon storylines begun over 40 years ago have been resolved." And this is the end. So that is a flip through of Femforce issue 180. You can purchase that on AC Comics website at www.accomics.com. And if you like the artwork, and you should check out the YouTube pages that I highlighted. And thank you very much.